So a while back I did a video in this format, my announcement that I'm doing SummerSlam commentary. Some of you said that this should be my regular setup, but I don't know if I'm going to keep it. I mean, it doesn't hurt to experiment. I'll do a whole episode like this just to see how it goes, but I don't know. Setup is a little weird. I'm not sure how the lighting looks right now, and my room's kind of a mess. Although I guess you can't really see much. I'm blocking my nightstand and my disaster of a bed. That's a sock signed by Mick Foley from like 2000, 2001. Guitars on the wall because I do play guitar. Jennifer Love Hewitt poster. But we're not here to talk about my room. We're here to talk about Civil War II, how it's turning out, and how, honestly, it's not looking good for Marvel. There are going to be spoilers for the story, obviously, so if you haven't read it, turn away now. So Civil War II is the sequel to the 2006 comic event series by Mark Millar and Steve McNiven. Written by Brian Michael Bendis with art by David Marquez, Civil War II is about the Inhuman known as Ulysses and his ability to see the future. His abilities put him on the radar of the Avengers. Captain Marvel wants to use his powers to stop bad guys before they do anything, to prevent disaster before it starts. Iron Man, on the other hand, is totally against this. He believes it's wrong to punish people before they've had a chance to do anything, and that the future is so uncertain that they really don't have the ability to determine what's right or wrong, no matter how vivid Ulysses' visions are. Now, of course, this leads to a whole lot of punching and fighting and people dying because it's an event comic. That happens. There's more to it than that, but that's the basic overall gist. So, how's it going? Well, not great. While each issue generally sells north of 100,000 copies, which is really good for a comic, it's not selling as well as last year's major event, Secret Wars, and it's not even selling as well as the original Civil War from 10 years ago. Also, this book has been plagued with delays, mostly because David Marquez recently became a father while making this book. This is usually the part where I say they should have gotten a fill-in artist to keep the momentum of an event comic going, but I feel like a dick saying that to somebody who just became a dad. So, congratulations, Marquez. But I think what's really hurting this book is the reception. It's getting a lot of mixed reviews from both critics and fans, and a lot of the reviews are on the more negative side of things. And with the release of issue 5 last week, there have been a lot of think pieces discussing where the series is and whether or not it can bounce back with 3 issues left to go. I doubt it can, to be honest, but even worse, I don't think this is going to be good for the state of the Marvel Universe post-Civil War II. Well, let's take a look at what's going on in the series itself, ignoring the tie-ins because, honestly, who cares? The whole idea of stopping crime and catastrophes before they happen is really interesting in theory. Look no further than Minority Report. But the way they're portrayed in this book just doesn't make it seem like a good idea. They're not really selling the whole pre-crime idea very well. Every time the Avengers go out to try to stop one of Ulysses' visions from happening, it usually ends in disaster, sometimes worse than had they done nothing at all. And Tony Stark and Beast eventually confirm that Ulysses' visions are nowhere close to 100% accurate, making intervening a waste of time and unnecessarily dangerous. These visions have led to the deaths of 2 major characters so far, James War Machine Rhodes in issue 1 and Bruce Banner in issue 3. And when you look at them, you think, what purpose do they solve? To me, War Machine's death is only there to propel Tony Stark's story forward, to put him at odds with Captain Marvel. Technically, that makes him a woman in a refrigerator. I didn't know that can work for men too. And Banner's death just seems completely unnecessary. Hawkeye kills him because Ulysses had a vision that the Hulk was going to do something really bad, but Banner never turned into the Hulk in this series, only in his vision. In fact, Banner hasn't been the Hulk for over a year. In the last series, he found peace with himself. Hawkeye shoots Banner because he sees Banner's eyes flicker green. And Hawkeye has better eyes than anybody else, so he can see that before anybody else can. And he doesn't even get punished for it. He gets off a free man. Worst of all with this series is the continual de-evolution of Carol Danvers as a character. Throughout this series, the current Captain Marvel has been a staunch supporter of pro-intervention, regardless of what it does to her or her team. It was her believing in Ulysses that led to the death of Rhodes, who she was dating at the time, that led to the death of Banner, who, again, hadn't done anything, and the arrest of civilian Allison Green, who was proven beyond reasonable doubt that she is not a threat. Carol keeps her in captivity because Ulysses' vision says she's a problem. And at this point in the series, everybody knows that Ulysses' visions are flawed. They mostly don't come true. And yet, Carol can't see past that. She believes in them so much that she's becoming the villain of this story. And I think last week's issue 5 was definitely the breaking point. It's the one where all the heroes finally beat the crap out of each other. And it's the one where Ulysses has the vision that Miles Morales is going to kill Steve Rogers. There's no explanation for this. There's no context. It really doesn't have anything to do with the fact that Steve Rogers is a Hydra agent now. Nobody knows that. All we see is the vision of a teenager standing over the dead body of one of America's greatest symbols. And Carol immediately wants to have him arrested. She wants to arrest a minor for something he hasn't done yet, for something he now knows he can prevent. Miles Morales killing Steve Rogers is something that we, the audience, know he's not capable of doing. And it should be something that Brian Bendis, the writer and Miles' creator, knows he's not capable of doing. At this point, all Civil War II seems to have done is kill off two well-liked classic characters and turn one of the most popular characters of the last 10 years, one of the most important female characters of the last 10 years, into a big jerk. And that's not good, especially if you're prepping Captain Marvel to get her own solo film in the next few years. Your first female-led solo film is going to be led by an unliked character. Now, this is comics. All this will eventually get undone. But because this is an event comic, and because this is supposed to set up where the Marvel Universe is headed, I expected more. This needed to be more than it was. It needed to show its heroes in the best light possible, even if they're at odds with each other. And this series isn't really doing it. Hopefully the post-Civil War II Marvel Now, Divided We Stand, whatever you want to call it, can do a better job. Hopefully it can fix all the damage from the series. Hopefully it can present a Marvel U that depicts hero against hero in a better fashion, because it won't be tied to some ongoing event. Every book has to stand on its own. And hopefully they can rehabilitate Captain Marvel, who just hasn't been the same since Kelly Sue DeConnick stopped writing her. Here's hoping that Margaret Stahl, Raymond Rosanas can bring the goods. They're doing her new solo series, and hopefully it's more in line with DeConnick's work than what we're seeing in Civil War II, because she can't afford to be a jerk anymore. But what do you guys think about Civil War II? Are you enjoying it? Do you wish it could be better? Let me know down below or anywhere on the internet. I could have gone on about how the delays are hurting the book, or how adding an extra issue to the series isn't going to magically make things better, but I wanted to focus on the events of the actual book itself, specifically Captain Marvel and the two deaths. But let me know if you want me to talk about the other stuff. I'd be more than happy to talk about that extra issue. Of course, new videos every Tuesdays and Wednesday night, Wulff Den Live, our live video podcast. Come chat with us, talk a whole bunch of stuff. If you miss it, no problem. It goes up again on Thursday, also in audio format on iTunes, SoundCloud, and Google Play. So subscribe for all that. And as always, like if you like, subscribe if you really like, share this video with a friend. Thank you so much for watching. I will see you next time. Maybe in a different angle from my room. Or maybe not even in my room. Who knows? You're going to get a lot of returning books like The Amazing Spider-Man, Black Widow, Daredevil, Deadpool, the two Captain America books, Jane Foster Thor, Punisher, but a whole bunch of new series too, like the return of Jessica Jones and Gamora getting her own series, the Kingpin getting his own series, whatever the hell Slapstick is. So what makes Tim's death different than all the other deaths in comics? Besides the fact that he's the best Robin, the one true Robin, and there's been this pretender in his role for far too long. Well, Tim has become a major player in Detective Comics ever since Rebirth started.